first day over there. She said she got a text from me. We're all touched into it. It's like that. Same thing. She wants to come tomorrow at like same time. Give me the phone.
I did stop back in the evening, saying we should just go back to Montana. She said she's going to try and get a couple of people out there at least. Ellen, I talked to Ellen like 2 weeks ago when I was on, so I got to go to tomorrow and drop it off and stuff. She's got over the years.
The question was not first.
I always say this.
Okay, let's bring this meeting to order. And before we do, I just want to welcome everybody back. Hope you had a good month off. Things will be getting started soon and back to business. So with that, if you join in the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mike, any adjustments to the agenda?
I do. Under new business, a fuel reserve motion needs to allow us to expend funds. If you read it, it says that we can create the fuel reserve. We also need to be able to expend it. Staff, under D, staff resignations at Whitney Taylor at Tech 2 Special Ed, the middle school. Nominations at Kathy Alley, Spence teacher at Plymouth Regional Middle School. Appointments, add Michael Hambrock at Tech 3 Special Ed, ABS, and Yasmin Tezel at Tech 3 Sebascook, and remove Anna Welch. She accepted another position. Those are the agenda items, adjustments to the agenda.
Excuse me. Sorry, there wasn't one on my desk.
I know there too.
Yeah.
Did everybody get the agenda? Connie, did you get it? Very good. I will, at this time, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the June 21st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried unanimous. Public comment. This is the time that anyone in the audience that would like to address the board with any comment or concern, we would love to hear you. Mike and I have talked about this, and what we would like to do is we want to be as transparent as we can. And so sometimes public would come in before the board and they would have concerns and they weren't addressed that night. And sometimes you can address things that night. But what we are going to do is make a concerted effort to either address the concern that night if we feel confident in the answer that we would get. And if not, we will go back, research it, and come back to the next meeting to let that person know that we've heard them and that we are concerned, because we both were afraid that if we do not address them and just leave it, it looks like we don't care or whatever, and that's not the case. So we will be giving our constituents answers that they need. So in that case, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board? Moving on. Reading of communication.
Well, you all got your junk mail, but that's about it as far as actual communication.
Moving on. Reports.
I'll give a little bit longer report than normal, just to kind of get you up to speed on a couple of things that are going on. And as our principals are still taking some much needed time off to recover from last year and get ready and fired up for this coming year. First thing is that we say goodbye to Luann after 35 years. She was our accounts payable person. We took her out to lunch last week and gave her a plaque, and it was a wonderful day as far as our office was concerned, and it's quite something when you have somebody who's worked for 35 years for the same district, and she was in multiple positions. As you know, she was the secretary at Palmyra, and then just came into the central office and worked for us in accounts payable, and also our registrar for quite some time. So definitely a big empty spot in her desk. This week, it happened last Friday. The last day was last Friday. As you know, the administrators and I went on a retreat. It was we built this into the grant, the recovery grant funds. It gives us the time to get away together and not have some time to think and plan together, and with no distractions. Because usually, sometimes we have our administrative meetings on, and everybody's got something going on in their school, or they're thinking about school, and they have to get back to school. So it's really nice to get away and be together and build our relationships with each other. As you know, we did this last year too, and we were thinking we were going back to school as we all knew it, and we all wanted it, and it was not quite so. We went right back into recovery mode and crisis mode. So this time we're hoping that we do in fact come back and can focus on the things that we want to focus on, those being curriculum, instruction, assessment, and intervention. And what we did at our retreat is we broke things down to what the simple things we can focus on for our students. We do believe across the board that there's social and emotional needs in our students we need to focus on to recover some of the things that they've been going through. We want to focus on Tier 1. If you hear about Tier 1 support, that's basic classroom instruction. We want to get back to focusing on what are the fundamentals we want our kids to know and learn and be able to do, and what is best practice. Sometimes we were in recovery mode for when we were in the virus is going on. We learned a lot of things going virtual and remote, but we also let some things go that we don't want to let go anymore. We can really focus on basic classroom instruction and best practice. We also want to be able to look at the students' absence. Obviously, we're hoping that we're back as normal as we possibly can be, but there could still be 5-day absences here and there, or for other reasons. We want to really focus on student absence, because when they're not here, we can't continue to move them forward and provide them with the interventions that they need. We also want to understand that there is a 2-year gap. When we sat back and thought about this, is that there's some kids that never came into kindergarten, first grade, and all of a sudden they're into a second grade classroom, or they went from 3 to grade 5. And there's a lot of things that they necessarily, you know this as parents and caregivers for kids, we lost a couple of years, and so we got to acknowledge that in some way, that a kid who's now a 9th grader who was disrupted in 7th and 8th grade, they're not a true 9th grader in terms of all the things that they may have experienced. So we really need to recognize that, and continue to pick our kids up where they are and continue to move forward. Specifically at grade K-4, we want to have, again, the consistent classroom expectations. We want to have the social, emotional needs met with kids, and we're going to focus on attendance. 5-8, you really want to think about school culture, the staff and student interactions, student behavior. As you heard on some of our education committee meetings last night, there was some challenging behaviors, again, at all levels, but specifically we want to focus on that, 5 through 8. 9 through 12, Mary and her staff want to think about rigor, continuing to develop the plans as kids go through high school. They have kind of this roadmap, trail map to navigating education, having students involved in their education, and choosing the things that they want to focus on and how they want to express their growth and their focus on education. So we really kind of got a chance to get back to the things that we wanted to focus on. I think all the schools and all the grade levels have consistency, like the K through 4, the 3 different elementary schools was a big focus, and then 5 through 8 had specific things they want to work on, and then 9 through 12, where we're also thinking across the district about good solid curriculum, instruction, assessment, and interventions, because as you know, through a lot of our grants, we had some really neat interventions, after school programs, summer school programs, and a lot of things that we wanted to try. but our teachers were, on some levels, just burnt out and couldn't take on some of those other things. So we're hoping that when teachers are ready, we can get back to those interventions and doing some of those things, but really focus on those 4 areas. I would also say that it's not really, it's probably one of those things, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, that we're working on the social emotional areas of our students, and there's been another social worker that's been added. That you've been looking for our openings. We had BCBA support that we were wanting to do. We haven't been able to really track down the person that we want for that, so we're trying to think about how we can add more social worker support, because there's a lot of kids that have social work in their IEPs, and we just don't have enough hours and minutes in a day. So what we're thinking about, we used to contract this with Acadia, and Acadia's hourly rate went from $45 to $84. So we would have gotten half of what we would have needed for our services. And basically what they're saying right now is they don't even have providers that they can bring to us for our social workers. So we're going to try to go out on our own. The ad's been out for a while now. It hasn't anticipated, but we haven't really had anybody. But we really need to find that hole and fill those holes for those kids that have social and emotional needs built into their IEP, let alone the regular things that we're talking about that are going on in their daily lives. So if you're wondering why that popped up, that is a big part of that reason, and I can answer questions about that. And I know we talked about the BCBA as being important as a person who creates behavior plans. Well, right now, our own social workers are creating those behavior plans for those students to help them be successful during the day, so I think that they can continue to do that. It's not that we didn't, we've been here multiple times talking to you about having our own BCBA, but we don't really have somebody who in-house has a complete set of skills or completed their work on that. So we're going to try to not increase the budget, but use the funds that we have to try to increase our social work services to the students that need it. As you can, as all those things that we discussed when we were going through guidance counseling last year at the middle school, to increase those positions, none of those issues we don't feel like it's going to go away immediately without some work and some attention. I would also say that there's some parents that are getting robocalls each week from me saying their kids are not up to their basic immunizations, and this is, remember, this is the law from the DOE saying that if you're not up to your basic immunizations, you cannot attend school. So we have a few students that we're calling each week, and it's going to be that, they're going to be, what do you mean like you can't come to school? If you don't have a medical exemption to have your basic immunizations, you can't attend school. That's not my claim saying that, it's the DOE, that's a federal regulation or a state regulation. So
basic, you mean measles, mumps?
Measles, mumps, whatever, the whole slate they're supposed to have that is prescribed by the state. So there's going to be some parents that are probably upset about that, and they say the kid can't come to school. We're going to try as much as we possibly can to minimize the number. And I think I told you last year, partway through the year, we focused on freshmen and sophomores and some of the kids that needed the things that we felt like we could get some traction with. There's only 3 or 4, I think, at some of the elementary schools. It's now a large amount of little kids, but we really got to hold them accountable because they're not supposed to be in school. And it's a very difficult thing, but it's one of those things that we have to do. As far as our openings right now, I don't know if you've heard, Lewiston has like 70. We have 24, 25 on paper. All across the board for openings. I'll kind of give you a rundown because I think we're in pretty good shape, but 25, 26 vacancies is a little alarming when you look at it district-wide. We have a couple music positions we have long-term subs for, but we don't actually have certified teachers for. We cannot find somebody who will do foreign language at the middle school. We have the social worker, which is, would be instead of the BCBA. I think we're close on the garden coordinator for Sebastica. There are 12 vacancies for education ed techs. 4 of them are grant positions 10 of them, I think, are in special education. Food service has 3, facility has 4, and Dean's telling me that he's fully staffed with 2 or 3 people that are out getting their licenses. So for some reason, Dean has the magic touch in terms of keeping his bus drivers staffed. Like I said, 26 is a large number, but on paper, some of those people have long-term subs. Some of those are grant positions that we may or may not have even filled last year. I wouldn't want to be 75, I don't even like 26, but I'll tell you what, we've had 6 ed techs accept jobs and then decline before they even step into. I think that some of them did the paperwork and then some of them walked away before they even, became an employee. So we're doing the best we possibly can. Your administrators are doing the best they possibly can. We've had some great new hires that we'll discuss as we get into the end of the agenda, but that's the state of our district right now. Buses, as far as that goes, is we are improving with our inspection process. Glenn is he's our assistant, became our assistant, started as our assistant mechanic, and he's really worked under the buses with the Maine State Police. And the Maine State Police, I've seen them both times that they were here the last 2 years, and they look at me and they seem like things are getting better. But I can also tell you that we had a stack this high of leaf springs that are starting to wear down the inside of the buses, and it's like anything else, they start finding things that are very important, but it's definitely a process to keep things going. But Dean and Glenn and Ray are telling me that our buses will be inspected and that we're in pretty good shape. And we also have a couple new buses coming into the pipeline. So building-wise, you'll see that they did some construction out front to fix that puddle that was there, and they made a ramp so we can get things into the building a little bit easier. They're working on the baseball field. There's still some holes that need to be fixed and some infield things. Door issues. Aluflam from California is sending us two brand new sets of doors, the cement doors that are here. If you've ever seen them over by the library, that are going to get replaced, and Aluflam will be here to watch American Glass put them in. We're still working with American Glass to try to get our doors fixed on the inside and the exterior doors. And the punch list is getting smaller, but there's still a few things in this building. And overall, some ventilation has been done up at that next month. We're trying to get into the kitchen and finish that up. And I'll discuss that more with the building committee tomorrow night. Our office, we have moved. We're working on a few kinks in that office, but it's a really nice space. They've run all the electrical for our heating and ventilation air exchangers, but it's not quite put them in yet, but they're all in our garage, so we know that's imminent. Leisha and I are still working with the JROTC people to think about how we can resurrect give them some new space over the JROTC building, which will Jared. That's still a work in progress, and we're working with the architect on that to make sure that's designed and developed in a way that's good for kids. And the custodians have been hammering it out, and no pun intended, in the buildings, getting things cleaned and ready for some kids to come back. It's hard to believe we're a couple weeks away, but if anybody has any questions, I can go back through any of that information.
Paul?
Immunization law, there's no space in any conscientious objection.
No, I think that's out the window. I think you have to have a medical reason.
Chad?
They removed that last year.
Mike, are we going to still try to hire a DCBA?
We're going to see what we have for funds. If we can do both, we're going to try. If not, we're going to focus on social work because those kids have that in their IEP. Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you. Board chair? Oh, I'm sorry.
Where are we at with the water in Heartland?
Good question. They built the outside building. They put a tank inside it. We're working for a couple of different pieces, but it's getting a lot closer. We'll have a more detailed report to the building committee tomorrow night and then back to you guys in early August. But we definitely built the building. They're doing some plumbing and electrical. I think they were waiting for a couple of different pieces in that building to get moving along pretty well. They've dug the water up into the water line, and I think they got to coordinate with the well driller and a couple other pieces to get that finished.
Right.
I think you meant early September,
What did I say?
August.
Early September.
Are they going to be disrupting the school, or that you think they'll be done?
I think it's really encapsulated that everything that they'll probably need to do now is inside the building, so it shouldn't disrupt what Ellen has going on.
Thank you.
Jenny, we're going to do something different with these, yes.
I know.
Any other
We'll make a big old
questions for Mike? Seeing none. Moving on. Board chair, all I want to do is, tell you that Mike and I are working on a couple of plans for us to be as transparent as we can be. And anytime you want to discuss anything or need something, you can send me an email or give me a call, and I'd be happy to discuss whatever. Other than that, let's move along. Reports of special committees is going to be fast and furious tonight because we haven't really started, but tomorrow night sounds like building. Budget.
We are canceling August meeting due to lack of agenda items, so next meeting will be September 20th at the new soup's office.
Education.
There was no meeting. Our next meeting will be the first Tuesday in September.
Excellent. Policy.
No meeting.
Will you have a meeting the third Tuesday? What Tuesday?
I suppose, yes.
Negotiations, that's done.
Done.
Tri-county and transportation? Okay. Nothing for extracurricular and pandemic. So let's move along. No old business. So new business. And Mike is looking for authorization to move $500,000 from the fund balance to the capital reserve account and to expend up to $150,000 as approved at the district budget meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second on the floor. Ryan. Any discussion on the motion?
What will that be in the fund balance?
That's a good question. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but as far as right now, we have a very healthy fund balance. So as far as I think we're actually at the state cap as far as what we can have, probably slightly over the state cap and what we can have in fund balance. So this will help get that within the requirements.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Passes. The next one is authorization to move $100,000 from the fund balance to create a fund reserve account as approved by the district budget meeting and also to expend as needed. So moved.
Jason?
Any discussion on the motion? Ryan?
Could maybe Mike or someone confirm that the actual language in the referendum said that we had the authority to expend as well as move it? I'm pretty sure it did, but I just want to confirm that before we take it.
Joe?
I mean, I don't have the warrant article in front of me, but yeah, I think both of those articles authorize the creation and the expending of up to $100,000.
Thank you.
Paul?
How big will the fuel reserve account be in
100,000.
zero on the side?
Yeah, we just created a referendum. We'll check on that one as well out of compliance, but I think they'll be happy. think we had to create it, but I think people had to approve it, and I think you created the mechanism to spend.
Good, thank you.
We'll check.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Assistant Director of Special Ed?
Yes, so the recommendation is to have Lana Shaw, who's the Assistant Special Ed Director. She is a teacher at the middle school. Very new to the position. However, she, of the candidates that we brought to the table, she is our choice. So I think she'll do a good job. I think she still wants to go.
Entertain a motion. Moved. We'll hear a second. Any discussion on the motion?
I think she's a little less than what Stella was. Remember, Joe? What we set up her?
What's that, as far as I'm saying, as far as that,
Assistant special ed.
with the salary?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was 60 grand.
60,000.
No, it wasn't. Any other questions? Seeing none,
Does she
all
have
those
her
in favor of the
certification
motion?
or working towards?
I believe she's taken school law and she's certified. Certified.
Doesn't sound good when you say somebody's.
I know. She's going to pass her certification.
Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous.
So,
Yeah. Who made the motion on that?
I did.
Veronica.
Veronica, right? Yeah, okay, thank you. That's unanimous.
All right, staff resignations. No action required.
Well, I can tell you, Cody got a job in 2 miles from his house. Mariah Allen, I believe, went to a teaching position closer to home. Only Bragdon, I think, has got a smaller speech load at either a private organization or a school with a smaller speech load. That Daniel Collins is closer to home. Those Leslie Maddox, Jennifer Morton, I can only guess that those are 3 of the people who said they would take jobs and then left because they have to make more money or went to a district or something.
Staff nominations.
Yep, that requires your action. Kathy Gordon, life skills, EBS, Gretchen Lane, 8th grade ELA. Maureen Ferrer, as a guidance counselor, she's the second position. She's got quite an extensive experience in another couple of districts. Christine Eisenhower is her extended learning opportunity coordinator. Nairi O'Donnell is a school nurse. I believe she's out of Stetson area. We had another school nurse and she resigned prior to the position. And Kathy Alley, special ed teacher at College Regional High School.
Take a motion to accept the
Second.
Any, as a block?
Yes.
Any discussion on the motion?
We have a compensation for health and life.
Pardon me, for most of them?
I think I read it right over the
I got life skills is 58 for EBS. ELA is 61. She comes in with some experience. 17 years of experience, or 12. No, 17 years complete. Guidance counselor is 73. She has 34 years of experience. We got one at 41, the ELA coordinator, ELO is 41. Nurse is at 50. And I believe it's a part, that might be this partial where we picked up like a third of it, if I'm not mistaken, but I know that we did receive a planning grant through the Bar Foundation, and I also know we received something from the state, another $250,000, so I think it's shared so that we would take some ownership of that, but I think part of it's still grant funded.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Passes. Staff appointments, that's no action on that. And staff transfers, and there's no action on that as well. Any, right.
Sorry. Mike, I think at the beginning of the meeting you said, when you were listing the 26, 25 vacancies, you mentioned specifically dining services. There were 3. Are we going to be able to have coverage in the elementary schools in particular where there's only like 1 or 2 people?
Yeah, David's on that already.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. He and I met, I know he's on it
Thank you.
as we speak.
I'm just curious, what is the difference between nominations and appointments where one requires board action and one doesn't?
Nomination is because it's a contractual obligation as teaching positions, and the appointments are elected hourly positions. We don't need to, there's no statute of obligation to nominate and have it accepted.
So under the staff nominations, we could say if we didn't agree with it.
Okay, moving ahead for future agenda items. Anyone have anything that they would like to bring forth to add to our agenda? Yeah.
On fuel reserve accounts and the selling on the end. I've been on the budget committee for many years, so is there a roof reserve account?
That would be the capital improvement account.
Take it out of capital improvement?
Yeah.
Can you take that other stuff out of capital improvement without having a separate account?
Fuel really isn't capital improvement.
But the capital improvements covers all that.
Boilers, roofs, maintenance, anything. So if we had a roof problem, we would take it out of that, and that's up there now. It's $1.5 million.
Right now, we're about 1.3. If we had 500, we'll be able to do that. Post 1.8.
1.8.
Right, built into, well, on the school board, when you have to fix my kid, you got a separate account for that. You put it in over 30 years on a roof, and another 25 years. You got a separate account, like you totally purchase it, separate.
My opinion on that is that's what the capital reserve is. Now, I've also seen a district in Southern Rustic, what we did is we had somebody analyze the roof of a building and say we can do this $75,000 section, this $75,000, and you can do it over 3 years. You can take it out of the regular budget and not touch your capital reserve. But I think that's kind of why we built a capital reserve. I don't think we can just do a roof account like we could do the fuel reserve and the capital reserve are 2 statutes that you can do by statute, and there may be a special ed out-of-district placement one that you can do, but I'm not 100% sure. What I don't know is you could just set aside a roof.
Well, the way I think they did it was, you have a small leeway, you put less money into an account that you can take a chance with $1 million account. You can't take a chance with $500,000 account. They won't plan to get about it. That's the economy down. You ain't gonna want to throw the capital improvement account in Bitcoin.
We can look into whatever set up. budget or buildings and grounds?
The building committee has decided that they were going to
Roofs are
discuss
on
that.
the agenda.
Anything else for future agenda items?
Robin, just to get back to Brian's question about that fuel reserve, they'd like, under Article 21 of the public budget meeting, it did authorize the creation and the expenditure of drone tests.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have several meetings that are scheduled, and the next budget meeting, board meeting, excuse me. Looks like it is going to be September 13th. Anything else to come in front of the board? If not, we are adjourned.
Okay, I've narrowed that.
Matt, you're all set?